The loaded gun on Marcus S. Kaufman's desk caught the lamplight as Jennifer M. David signed her name on the final page. Her hand trembling despite her desperate attempt at composure. Before we continue, thank you for spending your time with this story. If you're enjoying it so far, please watch till the end and subscribe. Across the massive oak desk sat the man whose name made hardened criminals look over their shoulders. Dark-haired, broad-shouldered, with eyes like black ice that catalogued every micro-expression, every hesitation. His expression as cold as if he were signing a weapons shipment manifest, which in his world was probably more routine than this. A marriage of convenience, a contract, nothing more than a carefully orchestrated transaction to legitimize his criminal empire and erase the $3 million death sentence hanging over her head. 2 years, Marcus said, his deep voice breaking the silence as his attorney, a man in an expensive suit who probably knew where all the bodies were buried, gathered the documents. That's all we need to satisfy the political connections I'm cultivating. After that, you'll have your freedom and we part ways. Assuming you've survived. The last part wasn't a joke. Jennifer nodded, tucking a strand of brunette hair behind her ear with fingers that wouldn't stop shaking. At 29, she'd never imagined her wedding would involve contracts, clauses, and the implicit threat of violence. And in the meantime, her voice came out steadier than she felt. Separate lives mostly. Public appearances when necessary. Charity galas, political fundraisers, occasions where I need a respectable face. His gaze swept over her with clinical assessment. The federal prosecutors and their society friends need to believe this is real enough to soften my reputation. You understand discretion is paramount. What you see, what you hear in this house, it dies with you. Or you die with it. She understood perfectly. Marcus S. Kaufman was known throughout the criminal underworld as brilliant, ruthless, and utterly without mercy. His black eyes rarely showed warmth, and his reputation was legendary. Short-lived enemies, no loose ends, no complications. Bodies disappeared without trace. Witnesses forgot what they'd seen. This arrangement suited him because it required nothing he wasn't willing to give. Money, protection, and an impressive performance when needed. For Jennifer it was survival. The alternative was a shallow grave in the Pine Barrens. Her brother's debts, gambling, drugs, desperate choices that had ended with a bullet in an alley 6 months ago, had become her inheritance. When the Volkov family's enforcer had shown up at her apartment with photos of her daily routine, her coffee shop, her office building, she'd understood the message. Pay the $3 million her brother owed, or join him in the ground. Marcus's offer had arrived through his attorney 3 days later, like a lifeline thrown to a drowning woman by the very man who controlled the waters. $3 million in debt erased. Protection from the Volkovs guaranteed. All it would cost was 2 years of her life as the wife of the most dangerous man in the city. The ceremony is tomorrow, Marcus continued, sliding a black velvet box across the desk. Inside, a platinum wedding band glinted, beautiful, expensive, and as cold as the man offering it. My estate. Small gathering. You'll meet the family. The way he said, family, made it clear he wasn't talking about distant cousins and elderly aunts. They'll be evaluating you, determining if you're an asset or a liability. And if they decide I'm a liability, his smile was razor-sharp, then I'll handle it personally. I protect my investments, Jennifer. But I also eliminate problems before they metastasize. He stood 6 feet of controlled violence in a tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Your belongings will be moved to the East Wing tomorrow morning. You'll have your own suite, your own space. But make no mistake. From the moment you sign that contract, you belong to me. Your movements, your communications, your choices. All of them run through me now. Jennifer stared at the contract, at her signature drying on the page beside his bold, aggressive scrawl. This wasn't a marriage. This was an acquisition. She was signing herself over to a man who trafficked in violence the way other men traded stocks. But she was out of options. The Volkovs didn't negotiate. The FBI couldn't protect her. They'd made that clear when she'd gone to them, desperate and terrified, only to be told her brother's debts weren't their jurisdiction. Marcus Kaufman was her only chance at staying alive. "I understand," she said quietly, meeting those merciless black eyes. "Do you?" He moved around the desk with predatory grace, stopping close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive, cedar and smoke. "Because once you're mine, Jennifer, there's no going back. No escape clause. No exit strategy. You'll be protected, yes. Provided for, absolutely. But you'll also be watched. Controlled. Owned." His hand reached out, tilting her chin up with surprising gentleness that felt more threatening than a blow. "The Volkovs will test us. My enemies will look for weakness. If they sense this is a performance, they'll come for you to hurt me. So you'd better be convincing when you stand at that altar tomorrow and promise to love, honor, and obey." The emphasis on obey sent ice down her spine. "I can be convincing," she whispered, even as every survival instinct screamed at her to run. "Good." He released her, stepping back. "Because in my world, Jennifer, failure isn't just career-ending. It's life-ending. And I'd hate to waste such a beautiful investment." As she left his office, contract signed and her fate sealed, Jennifer realized the gun on his desk hadn't been there by accident. It was a reminder. Promise. A preview of the violent world she was entering, where love was weakness, trust was currency, and marriage was just another form of survival. Tomorrow, she would become Mrs. Marcus Kaufman. Tonight, she would pray she lived long enough to regret it. The East Wing suite was a masterpiece of contradictions. Silk sheets and surveillance cameras, original artwork and reinforced locks that clicked from the outside. Jennifer stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Marcus's waterfront compound, watching armed guards patrol the perimeter like sentries guarding a prison, which she supposed was exactly what this was. 3 days married, and she'd barely seen her husband outside of staged photographs. Marcus treated her with the distant courtesy one might show expensive property, ensuring she was fed, clothed, and secured, but never touched, never acknowledged beyond what was necessary. He left before dawn for meetings she wasn't privy to, returned after midnight smelling of cigar smoke and decisions that probably left bodies in their wake. "Mrs. Kaufman." The voice at her door was female, cold. Sophia Moretti stood in the hallway, designer dress hugging curves that had once been Marcus's to enjoy. Her dark eyes held the territorial gleam of a displaced queen. "Marcus requested I help with your wardrobe. You'll need appropriate clothing for tomorrow's dinner." "Dinner?" Jennifer's throat tightened. "The family." Sophia's smile was blade-sharp. "All of them." The dining room could have hosted royalty, if royalty dealt in extortion and murder. Jennifer sat beside Marcus at a table surrounded by men whose faces she'd seen in FBI wanted posters. Their wives watched her with calculating suspicion, diamonds glittering at their throats like warning signs. "So this is the new Mrs. Kaufman," Luca Torino said, Marcus's underboss, his voice dripping skepticism. "Awful sudden, wasn't it?" Marcus's hand found Jennifer's thigh under the table. A claim, not comfort. "When you know, you know." Jennifer forced herself to smile, to play the role. "Look beautiful. Stay silent. Survive." Sophia sat across from them, every glance a reminder of what Jennifer had displaced. Marcus always did prefer beautiful things, she said sweetly. Until he breaks them. Marcus's fingers tightened on Jennifer's leg. Warning or protection, she couldn't tell. That night, unable to sleep, Jennifer escaped to the only unlocked room she'd found, Marcus's library. Floor-to-ceiling shelves lined with leather-bound classics, first editions, unexpected sophistication in a house that reeked of violence. She pulled down Dante's Inferno, losing herself in familiar circles of hell. Fitting choice for someone in your position. Jennifer spun. Marcus stood in the doorway, tie loosened, exhaustion softening the hard edges of his face. For the first time he looked almost human. I didn't mean to. You read Italian. His eyes caught on the original text in her hands. Minor in college. Before everything fell apart. Something shifted in his expression. He moved closer, studying the spines surrounding them. Most people assume I'm illiterate beyond balance sheets and kill orders. Most people assume I'm just another trophy wife. His laugh was unexpected, dark. You're not. He pulled a file from his jacket, sliding it across the nearest table. Her financial analysis work, reports she'd written for her firm. I've read everything you've published. You're brilliant with money structures, shell corporations, legitimate fronts. His black eyes met hers with new intensity. I don't just need a wife, Jennifer. I need your mind. Your skills. You're going to help me legitimize everything I've built. Jennifer stared at the file, at her own work reflected back at her through his criminal lens. She wasn't just collateral. She was a tool he intended to use. And if I refuse? Marcus's smile returned. Cold, inevitable. You won't. Because for the first time since your brother died, you'll have real power. Purpose beyond survival. He turned toward the door, pausing at the threshold. Welcome to hell, Jennifer. Make yourself useful, and you might just rule it. The lock clicked behind him, leaving her alone with Dante, with possibility, with a terrifying realization that her gilded cage had just become something far more dangerous. It had become necessary. The diamond necklace was cold against Jennifer's throat. Marcus's selection, Marcus's claim. She studied herself in the mirror. Emerald silk gown, hair swept into an elegant chignon, the perfect accessory for a man who traded in violence. You look perfect. Marcus appeared behind her, devastating in his tuxedo. His hand found her waist, possessive and practiced. Remember, smile, cara mia. Show them you're exactly where you want to be. The charity gala blazed with old money and new corruption. Crystal chandeliers illuminated faces Jennifer recognized from news broadcasts. Senator Morrison, Judge Chen, the police commissioner. All greeting Marcus with warmth reserved for men who could destroy careers with a phone call. Marcus transformed. The cold, distant husband became attentive, charming. His hand never leaving her waist as he guided her through conversations like choreographed dance. My wife, Jennifer, he introduced her repeatedly, pride in his voice almost sounding genuine. Whispers followed them like smoke. Where did Kaufman find that one? Quite the upgrade from Sophia. Sophia herself appeared near the bar, venom in her smile. Jennifer, that dress is stunning. Her eyes swept over her with surgical precision. Marcus always did prefer beautiful things. Until he breaks them. Marcus's fingers tightened on Jennifer's hip. Protection or possession, the line blurring. The bathroom offered brief respite. Jennifer was reapplying lipstick when the woman in the navy suit appeared. Mrs. Kaufman. Agent Sarah Chen, FBI. The badge flash was quick, discreet. We can protect you. We know you're not here willingly. When Marcus Kaufman falls, everyone near him goes down. Unless you cooperate. Jennifer's hands trembled. Protection. Freedom. It also meant a bullet in her skull if Marcus discovered this conversation. I can't help you. I have nothing to tell you. Marcus noticed immediately. His hand found hers as they moved toward the ballroom. What happened? Nothing. Jennifer. He pulled her into an alcove, away from cameras. What did they say? No room for lies in that gaze. FBI. They want me to inform. His jaw tightened, violence simmering beneath the polished surface. Then, unexpectedly, his hand cupped her face with surprising gentleness. The FBI wants my empire. They'll use anyone, including you, to get it. Don't let them. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I won't let anyone hurt you, Jennifer. Not the Volkovs. Not the FBI. Not even my own people. The vulnerability in those words stole her breath. The car ride home was thick with tension. Halfway to the compound, Marcus ordered his driver to pull over. In the darkness of the back seat, he turned to face her fully. This works if we trust each other. His black eyes held hers with uncomfortable intensity. I need to know, can I trust you? Because if you lie to me once, if you betray me even in the smallest way, I can't protect you. I won't be able to. Jennifer saw the truth beneath the threat. This wasn't just control. It was survival. His and hers, intertwined now whether she wanted it or not. You can trust me, she whispered. His hand found hers in the darkness, thumb stroking across her knuckles with unexpected tenderness. Then we have a deal. A real one this time. He paused, and for a moment the mask slipped entirely. Partnership, Jennifer. Not just performance. I need to know you're with me. I'm with you. The words felt like a vow more binding than their wedding ceremony. Partnership within the cage. It wasn't freedom. But maybe it was enough to stay alive. The financial records spread across Marcus's desk told stories of blood money transformed into legitimate enterprise. Jennifer traced the paper trail with practiced eyes, finding holes, creating solutions, building shell corporations that could withstand federal scrutiny. Ingenious. Luca Torino stood in the doorway, arms crossed, grudging respect in his voice. The Cayman structure. Even I didn't see that angle. Jennifer met his gaze steadily. Money doesn't care where it comes from, only where it goes. Something like approval flickered across his scarred face before he disappeared down the hallway. Morning coffee became their unspoken ritual. Jennifer would find Marcus in the kitchen before dawn, espresso in hand, Wall Street Journal spread across marble counters. He'd pour her a cup without asking, add cream without being told. They'd exist in comfortable silence, her reviewing financial reports, him planning whatever dark business the day required. The offshore accounts, Marcus said one morning, not looking up. Your restructuring saved us $3 million in exposure. The pharmaceutical front needs work, she replied. Too many transactions clustering in March. It'll raise flags. His eyes lifted, something warm flickering beneath the ice. Fix it. Not a command. Request. Trust. The gunfire shattered their fragile peace at 2 a.m. Jennifer woke to Marcus's hand over her mouth, his body shielding hers as bullets punched through her bedroom window. Stay down, he breathed, and then he was moving. Fluid, lethal, the businessman replaced by something far more primal. He heard shots, screams, the wet sound of bodies hitting marble floors. Then silence. Marcus returned, blood splattered across his white shirt, violence still burning in his eyes. But his hands were gentle as they cupped her face, checking for injuries with urgent precision. "You're not hurt." His voice was raw. "No, Jennifer's hands trembled. "You killed them. I told you." His forehead pressed against hers, breath ragged. "You're mine to protect." The bodies were gone by dawn. But the blood on Marcus's knuckles remained. Jennifer found him in his office, scotch in hand, staring at nothing. She approached slowly, took his damaged hand in hers, began cleaning the cuts with surprising steadiness. "Why me?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Why not marry someone from your world? Someone who understands this life?" Marcus was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "Because you're not corrupted yet. You're real." His fingers tangled with hers. "Everyone in my world wants something. Power, money, status. You just want to survive. That's honest." I needed honest. The vulnerability in those words cracked something open in her chest. The family meeting 2 days later was tense. Territory disputes, FBI pressure, the usual violence masquerading as business discussion. Jennifer sat beside Marcus, silent but attentive, absorbing the dynamics of power. "With respect," Lucas said, not looking at her. "Should she be hearing this? She's an outsider. A liability." Marcus's fist slammed the table with terrifying force. The room went silent. "Question my wife's presence again." His voice was death itself. "And you'll answer to me personally. Not as your boss. As the man whose woman you just disrespected." Luca's face went pale. "I meant no. She stays. She knows more about our operations than half the men at this table. She's not a liability." Marcus's hand found Jennifer's, lacing their fingers together in front of everyone. "She's an asset. My asset. And anyone who forgets that won't live to make the mistake twice." Jennifer's heart hammered. This wasn't transactional protection. This was personal. Dangerously, impossibly personal. The FBI surveillance had intensified. Black sedans trailing their movements, subpoenas arriving daily, pressure mounting like a vice around Marcus's empire. He moved through it with calculated calm, but Jennifer felt the tension radiating from him like heat from a furnace. "Another appearance," he'd said that morning, laying out an emerald silk dress he'd selected personally. "Art gallery opening. My money, legitimate face." Jennifer understood. Money laundering wrapped in culture and champagne. The gallery glittered with Manhattan's elite, abstract paintings providing perfect cover for transactions that would never see daylight. Marcus's hand rested possessively on her waist as they navigated the crowd. His touch now familiar, almost comforting. Then she saw him. David Sterling stood near a Rothko piece, polished and confident in an expensive suit, looking exactly as he had 3 years ago when he'd walked away from her life without explanation. "Jennifer." His voice carried across the space, and her entire body went rigid. "God, I've missed you." Old wounds tore open. The man she'd loved, who'd abandoned her when her world collapsed, now stood before her like a ghost wearing a smile. "David." Her voice came out strangled. "What are you? I left to protect you." He moved closer, urgency in his blue eyes. "The FBI was investigating your brother. I couldn't let you get caught in the crossfire. But I never stopped loving you, Jennifer. I'm back to make things right." Before she could respond, Marcus materialized beside her. His hand claimed her waist with unmistakable possession, pulling her against his side with territorial precision. "Darling, who's your friend?" His voice was silk over steel. "My wife," Marcus interrupted smoothly, extending his other hand. David Sterling, I presume. Jennifer mentioned you once. Ancient history. The emphasis on history was deliberate, cutting. David's handshake was firm, challenging. Some history doesn't stay buried, Kaufman. Marcus's smile was lethal. In my world, things that won't stay buried get put down permanently. His fingers tightened on Jennifer's hip. Fortunate that my wife's past is exactly that. Past. The tension crackled between them. Two predators sizing each other up over territory they both claimed. If you'll excuse us, Marcus said, already guiding Jennifer away. But his jaw was clenched, violence simmering beneath his controlled surface. Marcus. Not here. His voice was ice. Jennifer glanced back. David watched them with an expression she couldn't read. Determination mixed with something that looked like pity. Across the gallery, Marcus couldn't take his eyes off them. Jennifer had moved to examine a sculpture, and somehow David had found her again. They stood too close, his hand gesturing as he spoke, her face tilted up toward his with an expression Marcus recognized. Vulnerability, the kind she never showed him. Something dark and primal clawed up his throat. Not strategic concern about FBI informants or operational security. Jealousy. Raw, consuming, irrational jealousy. He watched David's hand brush Jennifer's arm. Casual, familiar, the touch of someone who'd once had the right. Marcus's vision narrowed. His fingers crushing the champagne flute until it cracked. Luca appeared beside him. Boss, you're bleeding. Marcus looked down. Glass had cut his palm, blood welling between his fingers. He hadn't even felt it. Get information on David Sterling, he said quietly. His eyes never leaving Jennifer. Everything. Where he's been, who he works for, what he wants. His voice dropped to something dangerous. And find out how quickly he can disappear if necessary. Because watching another man touch his wife, contract or not, transaction or not, made Marcus want to commit murder in a room full of witnesses. She was his. And he was done pretending that was purely business. David Sterling became a shadow in Jennifer's life. At her morning coffee shop, browsing the bookstore she'd discovered, lingering near the gallery where she'd begun consulting. Always with that same earnest expression, always claiming coincidence. Jennifer, please. He cornered her outside her favorite cafe. Desperation in his voice. You don't have to stay with him. I can get you witness protection. New identities, new lives. We can disappear together, start over. David, don't. I never stopped loving you. This is your chance. Our chance. She walked away, pulse hammering. But she didn't tell Marcus. Mistake. The guards multiplied overnight. 2 became 4, then 6. Cameras appeared in hallways she'd thought private. Marcus's questions became interrogations disguised as casual conversation. Where had she been? Who had she spoken to? His eyes tracked her movements with predatory intensity. The summons came on Thursday. My office. Now. Marcus stood behind his desk, jaw clenched, murder in his eyes. He's contacted you. Not a question. Statement of fact. Jennifer's stomach dropped. Marcus. How many times? His voice was dangerously quiet. How many times has David Sterling approached my wife? And how many times did you think keeping that from me was acceptable? 3 times. Her chin lifted defiantly. He wants me to inform on you. I refused. Every time. And you didn't think to tell me. His fist slammed the desk. That an FBI agent is using you as leverage and you just... What? Handled it yourself. I handled it. You're not equipped to handle FBI informants. Marcus moved around the desk with frightening speed. You're not trained for this world, Jennifer. You're not your spy or your property. The words exploded from her. The contract says wife, not prisoner. I don't report my every conversation like I'm under surveillance. She stopped. Oh God. I am under surveillance. You've been tracking me. Of course I've been tracking you. His voice was raw fury. Because men like David Sterling don't give up. And women like you don't understand what happens when you're caught between the FBI and me. I'm not yours to track. In 2 strides he'd pinned her against his desk. Hands braced on either side of her, face inches from hers. His breath came hard, violence and something darker burning in his black eyes. You're my wife, he growled. Mine. That means when someone threatens what's mine, when someone tries to take what belongs to me, I eliminate the threat. His hand cupped her jaw, grip just shy of painful. Do you understand? You're mine, Jennifer. The air between them crackled. Heat replaced fury. His gaze dropped to her lips, and suddenly this wasn't about control or protection. This was possession of an entirely different kind. Jennifer's breath caught. His mouth was so close, his body caging hers, every hard plane of him pressed against her softness. For one insane moment she thought he might kiss her. Wanted him to. She jerked away, heart hammering. This isn't real, Marcus. It's a transaction. Don't confuse ownership with caring. Something raw flickered across his face before the mask slammed back into place. He stepped back, adjusting his cufflinks with deliberate calm. Keep telling yourself that, Kara. The dismissal was clear. But as Jennifer fled his office, she heard him make a call. Dimitri. Mrs. Kaufman needs 24/7 personal security. My most trusted man. She doesn't go anywhere without eyes on her. Not protection. Surveillance. The cage was tightening, and Jennifer realized with terrifying clarity. She wasn't sure if she wanted to escape it anymore. The blood-red gown clung to Jennifer like a second skin. Marcus's selection, Marcus's statement. The diamonds at her throat blazed under ballroom lights, each stone worth more than most people earned in a year. She was a masterpiece of expensive possession. Perfect, Marcus murmured, his hand finding its familiar place at her waist. Senator Morrison's here. Judge Caldwell. Everyone who matters. His grip tightened. I need you flawless tonight. Another money laundering operation wrapped in charitable intentions. Another performance. Then she saw David across the ballroom, and her stomach plummeted. Marcus felt her stiffen. His eyes followed her gaze, landing on David with predatory precision. So he's bold enough to show his face. But his hand never left her. Through conversations with politicians, through champagne toasts and choreographed laughter, Marcus kept Jennifer anchored to his side with barely leashed possessiveness. Marcus is quite possessive tonight, Sophia purred, appearing with malicious smile. One might think it's genuine. Marcus's jaw tightened. One would be correct. Jennifer escaped to the terrace, needing air. The city glittered below, beautiful and indifferent. Jennifer. David materialized from shadows. We need to talk. David, not here. You're making a mistake. He moved closer, urgency sharpening his features. He's a killer, Jennifer. Marcus Kaufman has 20 confirmed bodies on his record. He'll destroy you. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. David's hand caught hers, pulled her close with desperate familiarity. Come back to me. This is where you belong. You're mine, Jennifer. You were always mine. Let go. Mine. Take your hand off my wife. Now. The voice was death itself. Marcus stood in the doorway, and Jennifer had never seen him like this. The businessman had vanished, replaced by something primal and lethal. Violence radiated from him in waves. David didn't release her. Or what? You'll kill me at a charity gala. Marcus's smile was a promise of murder. No. I'll bury you quietly where no one will ever find you. He took one step forward. You have 3 seconds to remove your hands from what belongs to me. She's not property. 2. Marcus, don't. Jennifer tried. 3. Men materialized from nowhere. Marcus's soldiers, blending seamlessly into the crowd. They flanked David with professional efficiency. Escort Mr. Sterling from the premises, Marcus said quietly. Permanently. David was removed so smoothly guests barely noticed. One moment there, the next gone. Marcus's hand clamped around Jennifer's arm. We're leaving. The car ride was suffocating silence. Marcus sat rigid, knuckles white, jaw clenched. Halfway home, his control snapped. Were you going to leave with him? What? No. Don't lie to me. He turned and Jennifer saw it. Beneath the fury, beneath the violence, fear. Raw, genuine fear. Were you going to leave? Marcus. He said you were his. His voice cracked. He called you his, and you didn't correct him. Because you appeared before I could. You wanted to go with him. Not a question. An accusation born of terror. Jennifer's breath caught. She saw it now. The truth beneath his possessiveness. This wasn't about control. This was about a man terrified of losing something he'd started to need. No, she whispered. I didn't want that. His eyes searched hers, desperate for truth. Then what do you want, Jennifer? The question hung between them, dangerous and vital. The mansion door slammed behind them with finality. Marcus rounded on Jennifer, fury and fear warring in his black eyes. How many times? His voice was deadly quiet. How many times has he approached you? How many lies did you tell me? I didn't lie. Omission is lying. He stalked toward her. How many, Jennifer? 3 times. Maybe 4. Her own anger ignited. And I handled it. I refused him every time. You don't get to handle FBI informants alone. This is a business arrangement, Marcus. You don't own me. Business. Something feral tore through his control. You think this is still fucking business? He thrust his phone at her. FBI surveillance photos. David wearing a wire, meeting with prosecutors, detailed reports of his assignment. Seduce Jennifer Kaufman, turn her informant, destroy Marcus's empire from the inside. He doesn't love you, Marcus's voice was raw. He's using you to destroy me. He never came back for you, Kara. He came back for me. You were just the weapon. Tears burned her eyes. Betrayed again. Always betrayed. I need you to understand. He moved closer, voice dropping to something between confession and threat. I don't share, Jennifer. I don't release what's mine. And you've been mine since the moment you signed that contract. Maybe before. Marcus. When I heard him call you his, I wanted to kill him with my bare hands. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing away tears. Not for strategy. Not for business. 'Cause you're mine. And I don't know when that stopped being about debt and started being about this. He pressed her hand to his racing heart. But it did. This is insane. I know. His forehead touched hers. But I'll burn the world before I let anyone take you from me. The kiss was violent, possessive, desperate, All the fury and fear and need he'd been restraining finally unleashed. Jennifer gasped against his mouth, and he consumed her, backing her against the wall with bruising intensity. Every wall between them crumbled. "I didn't ask for this," she sobbed when he released her lips. "I didn't ask to feel this. Neither did I." His hands trembled, framing her face. "But here we are." Transaction became truth in tangled sheets and whispered confessions. Dawn brought devastation. Luca Torino appeared with FBI documents, surveillance reports, wire transcripts, fabricated evidence proving Jennifer was an informant. Her meetings with David. Her reluctance to tell Marcus. Everything twisted into betrayal. "She's playing you, boss." Luca's voice was grim. Classic FBI operation. Marcus stood frozen, documents in hand, evidence damning. Jennifer sat up, terror replacing passion. "Marcus, those are lies. Very convenient lies." Luca's hand moved toward his weapon. "Want me to handle it?" "No. Boss, she's..." "I said no." Marcus looked at Jennifer. Really looked. Saw her fear, her desperation, the truth in eyes that couldn't lie. Trust evidence or trust feelings. Strategy or faith. The old Marcus would have chosen strategy. Would have eliminated the threat. But the old Marcus hadn't held this woman through the night. "I know who you are." He crossed to the bed, handed documents to Luca without breaking eye contact. "Burn those. Find out who's fabricating evidence against my wife." Jennifer's sob was relief and disbelief combined. Marcus pulled her into his arms. "You're mine, Jennifer. And I protect what's mine. Even from his own darkness." The bullet shattered her bedroom window at dawn. Jennifer hit the floor as glass exploded overhead. Instinct and Marcus's paranoid training saving her life. The second shot punched through where her head had been. And then Dimitri was there, covering her body with his own as gunfire erupted from the compound's perimeter. "Stay down, Mrs. Kaufman." The attack lasted 90 seconds. When silence fell, 6 bodies littered the grounds. All Volkov's soldiers. Victor had made his move. Betting Marcus's feelings had made him weak. Fatal miscalculation. Marcus found her in Dimitri's arms, unharmed but shaking. The violence that erupted across his face was primal, terrifying, beautiful in its fury. "Get her to the safe room." His voice was death itself. "Luca, call everyone. Total war. The Volkovs end tonight." Jennifer caught his wrist. "Marcus, they tried to take you from me." His hand cupped her face with surprising gentleness. "There's no mercy for that." She watched him transform. The businessman, the husband, gone. What remained was the legend the underworld feared, moving with lethal precision as he orchestrated Viktor Volkov's destruction. By midnight it was over. Viktor's empire crumbled, his soldiers dead or scattered, the man himself dragged to Marcus's compound. Jennifer watched from the security room as Marcus confronted him. No posturing, no speeches. Just cold, efficient violence that should have horrified her. Instead, she saw a man protecting what he loved with everything he had. Victor's body was gone by dawn. The FBI raid came 36 hours later. David Sterling's desperate play. Federal agents swarmed the compound with battering rams and arrest warrants. David found Jennifer in the East Wing, reaching for her with desperate urgency. "Jennifer, come on. This is over. I can still protect you." "No. He's got you brainwashed. He's freed me." She stepped back, positioning herself between David and Marcus's office. "You wanted me small, David. Acceptable. Marcus sees all of me. the darkness, the brilliance, the ruthlessness, and wants it. Her voice hardened. I'm not leaving. I'm exactly where I choose to be. David's face crumpled. Stockholm Syndrome. Partnership. Marcus appeared, flanked by lawyers, evidence of FBI misconduct already being filed. Your raid is illegal, Sterling. Your cover's blown. And your case against me just evaporated. David was escorted out in handcuffs, his career destroyed. That evening, Marcus found Jennifer on their balcony. Blood still stained his cuffs, violence still burning in his eyes. But his hands were gentle as they framed her face. It's over. Victor's dead. David's gone. You're safe. His forehead touched hers. You're mine, and everyone knows the cost of threatening that. Luca appeared in the doorway, grudging respect in his scarred face. She's not a liability, boss. Rare smile. She's your fucking queen. Jennifer pulled Marcus closer, tasting violence and victory on his lips. Her cage had become her kingdom, and she was done apologizing for ruling it. 18 months remained on the contract when Marcus summoned her to his office. Jennifer entered to find him behind the massive oak desk, the loaded gun once again catching lamplight. Her heart stuttered. Was this ending already? Marcus pulled their marriage contract from a drawer, placed it between them. Then he lit a match. Marcus, what? The paper caught, flames consuming signatures and clauses. 2 years of obligation turning to ash. I don't need paper to bind you to me. His black eyes held hers with raw vulnerability. I'm not keeping you because of debt, Jennifer. I'm keeping you because I can't breathe without you. Her throat closed. I love you. The words came rough, unpracticed. I don't know gentle. I only know possession, control, claiming what's mine. But it's real. He stood circling the desk. You've made me human again, Kara. And in my world, that's the most dangerous thing you could have done. His hands framed her face, thumbs brushing away tears. Choose me. His voice cracked. Not because you're bought. Not because you're afraid. Choose me because you want this. Want us. Jennifer's sob was half laugh, half cry. I choose you. I choose this life, this darkness, this beautiful violence. Her hands covered his. I choose to be yours, Marcus. Not because I have to. Because I can't imagine being anyone else's. From his pocket, he produced a second ring, blood ruby surrounded by diamonds, dark and devastating. This one isn't a transaction. He slid it onto her finger. This one is a promise. You're my wife, my partner, my queen. The private chapel held only their most trusted. Luca Torino stood witness. Grudging respect transformed into genuine smile as Marcus spoke vows that weren't scripted. You are mine. Today, tomorrow, every day I draw breath. I will protect you, provide for you, destroy anyone who threatens you. Jennifer's response was equally fierce. And you are mine. Every dark, dangerous, beautiful part of you. I will stand beside you, build with you, rule this empire with you. When Marcus kissed her, it tasted like freedom. The family meeting that evening was different. Jennifer sat beside Marcus, no longer decoration but partner. Her financial strategies were presented, her insights valued, her voice carrying weight. Marcus's hand rested possessively on her chair, constant reminder of ownership transformed into devotion. To Mrs. Kaufman, Luca raised his glass. Queen of the Kaufman Empire. Long may she reign. That night, Marcus pulled her close in their shared bed. You're mine, cara mia, he whispered against her temple. Today. Tomorrow. Forever. Jennifer smiled against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. And you're mine. Every ruthless, possessive, protective part of you. The burned contract sat cold in the fireplace. The ruby ring blazed on her finger. Jennifer had entered this arrangement to survive. She stayed because this was where she belonged. In the arms of the devil himself. Ruling hell together. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story.